You're gonna edit this, right?
Oh, I'm gonna edit the shit out of this. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Good here from the House of Masks, joined by a very special guest, Mr. Letz. And if you want to introduce yourself, because you have a laundry list of things, there's no way that I'd be able to list them all. By all means, let the people know exactly who you are and what you do.
Whoa, jeez. I think the biggest thing I do is annoy people, to be honest with you.
He's been very annoying since he got here.
I'm a drummer. So I'm not even technically a musician.
Right.
I go through a lot of drum techs. I'm very particular, but I barely know how to play my instrument. What else can I say about myself?
Who do you play for?
I play for Till Lindemann. Right now, Till's doing a solo project, and yeah, that's been a lot of fun. I've been doing that ever since. What year was COVID?
2020?
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, the first iteration of this band was Till with a whole different band. And my other band, called Aesthetic Perfection, which is currently on tour with Till Lindemann, as one of the opening bands, we were opening for that version of the band. And I've known Till for years. So we were opening and we ended the tour the tour was going through the beginning of COVID, and the last show was in Moscow and everything got fucked up, and then everyone flew home because COVID started. And then shortly after that, Till reached out to me and asked me said he was breaking ties with the old members and asked me to put a new band together in the US. No one really knew how long COVID was gonna go. Everyone that wasn't in a band was like, this is gonna last forever. Mm-hmm. And everyone in the band was like, no, it's only 2 more weeks. Yeah. So we had shows that kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and it was a good 2.5, 3 years before we even got to play a show.
Do you think that conceptualizing and creating the band during COVID was a blessing because it gave you more time to fine tune everything?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. There was a couple of people that were in the band before the lineup that no one will ever even know about having been in the band, and to be honest with you, those people needed to not be in the band.
Yeah.
And we had the time to not have to figure that out publicly, mm-hmm. which was definitely a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, but and the other thing is I honestly don't know what I would have done without this during that time. That was such a depressing, weird time for everyone, and I had this new thing to be excited about and to work towards. I got a little studio by my house, and it's hard to play drums having an apartment. I have a big apartment, but I can't have a drum set in there,
mm-hmm.
So I found a studio and near my house, and I could play drums there, and we could rehearse there as a band. So we had that to do every week, several days, and it really was something to hold on to.
Yeah.
I was really grateful for that. Yeah.
I'd say it shows because the look is perfect, the sound is great, the stage show is great, and it just really ties everything in together. I get this more than I get most other projects. So
cool.
I think that it shows.
Cool.
So speaking of that, we're obviously here to talk about theatrics.
Uh-huh.
You certainly have a look.
Yeah.
And since we started texting about this, you mentioned something about why you have that look and why you don't fake that look. A lot of people think that it's not a real thing. It's like a gag thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's real.
Yeah.
So you got to tell me. I want to know right now, what is up with that?
It's funny. I've had several people see me and go and after the show and be like, "Whoa, can I where'd you make your mask?" And I'm like, "I make it every night before." What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's not a mask. It's I'm physically manipulating my face, and people don't believe me, and I found myself arguing with people. What do you mean?
Yeah.
They were like, "Yeah, right, okay," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I realized actually this is I guess, a compliment. Like, people actually think it's, like, really weird.
It got me.
It's
I
weird.
mean, when we first followed each other and I saw that pinned photo, I was like, that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? That's whatever it is. Even, like, an edited animated photo or something, I thought. But it's fucking real. And you do it the whole show.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I guess I should talk about, like, how I got into this sort of thing even. I mean, as a kid, I just always was really into... I would go to every concert in the world, you know? I'm 43 years old now. I've seen, like... You know, I was seeing Slipknot and Korn and all those bands, like, right from when they were, like, first getting big and starting out, right? And I always found myself, like... The one band in particular that I'll talk about is Limp Bizkit.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, it was not cool to like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Okay? But... So I was like, of course, like, Limp Bizkit sucks. But they were playing so many shows that that I was at anyway, right? So I always found myself watching anyway, and I gravitated towards Wes. I was just like, I didn't fucking get it. I was just like, what the fuck is this guy? Like, he was like an alien or a bunny rabbit, or it was just like so weird, and I was just mesmerized by it. And I would just be, you know, usually at a show I'd either watch the drummer or the singer, and then I just found myself like obsessed with this guitar player, this band that I didn't even like, you know? And so I was always drawn to that. And actually, it's funny, I'm really into like, I guess what I'm doing is like drag now, which wasn't where I started with all this stuff, and I'm really into a lot of these like monster drag people. I don't know if you ever saw this show Dragula. You know about this? You know about RuPaul's Drag Race. You know what that is? Yeah. So there's a version of that that's like all scary drag queens, that like horror drag queens. I forget the word for it. It's like monster drag or horror drag. But there's if you go on Netflix, you'll see there's like this awesome, ridiculous, you know, competition show, and there's like 6-7 seasons of it now. I think like they have a contract with Shudder, you know, that network, so they're doing it on there. But trust me, watch this. Yeah. If you're into this stuff, like mass and everything, because I learned so much from watching how they make their costumes, and you know, I really want to learn how to do prosthetics and stuff like this. Just take it to a new level and like do like weirder stuff. But like I'm technically doing drag now, right? But I didn't start doing drag, so I always was just like doing crazy makeups in my bands. And at one point I got sober, and I found myself like not at the bar with the band before the show, and I had like all this. I do this thing where I go to like Salvation Army, like thrift stores, like especially like on tour in Middle American stuff. You find some real gems there, and I'll go and I'll spend like $300-400 and have all this bullshit that I like don't even do anything with, and I just carry it all tour with me, and then I put it in storage when I get home. I don't know, it's weird.
It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Exactly, spoken like a true hoarder. And so anyway, I just one day found myself with all this time on my hands and some weird yellow clothes and some makeup, and I just did this makeup that was like, a weird Ronald McDonald kind of fucking psychopath, like Joker thing. And I just was like as a joke from one show, and I noticed that it like brought this other, like just this, the process of sitting there and going through the motions and becoming this and really paying attention to what I was doing to myself. I didn't even realize I was like manipulating my subconscious to be a different person. And I noticed that something else came out of me on stage that night, and I really enjoyed that. And then I started just playing up on that a little bit, and the fans really started gravitating towards that. A lot of people think that the reason why I'm doing drag is because, well, I'm heavily influenced by the drag community, but this wasn't my first influence. My first influence was actually seeing Maynard from Tool come out with big boobs at Lollapalooza when I was 15 years old. Like, people didn't do stuff like that back then, you know? And I was like getting beat up in high school for listening to like bands like Tool. And then this motherfucker comes out dressed like a woman with boobs. And I was just like, whoa, if that's not the biggest middle finger I ever saw in my life, you know, it really made an impact on me. And so it's funny when people, like, yeah, it looks online like I'm really heavily influenced by all those, like, the current drag community, which I am, but it goes back to, like, when I was a child and I saw this, like, you know, this stuff. And I wasn't always doing drag stuff. And actually, the reason why I started doing drag is funny. I experienced a really strange eye injury. I had a pop in my eye one day, and I didn't know what it was. I had a cigarette in my hand at the time, and I thought a thing went in my eye, and I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't even, like, say anything to anyone, but, like, over the next year or so, I started, like, I couldn't see in my peripheral vision of my right eye. Like if my hand's here, you know how you can, like, see it, but I like, couldn't. Yeah. And I noticed when I went into dark rooms, like a casino or something, it was like my right eye was, like, weird and dark, and, like, it was just strange. And it was like that for a couple years, and then one day I flew to see my friend in LA, and I landed, and I remember I was in the back of his car, and I started seeing rain, and it, like, never rains in LA, actually until this year anyway, but, like, and I was going, like, it's raining? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I see rain. And, like, and I started seeing this weird shit shooting in my eyes, but it wasn't raining. And then I started seeing something in the center of my field of vision on my right eye. And it was like a little crack or something. And I was like, and over the course of the next couple hours, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the first thing I thought that I was, like, seeing a parasite grow in my eye, like in my eyeball. Yeah. And I was like, it's right there. And I'm watching it, you know, I was freaking out. And I'm at my friend's house, and I'm sitting in his backyard because there's a big white wall, just staring at it, going, look, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. You probably think I took all this acid. So the next day I woke up and it was, like, worse. And I'm like, I got to go to an eye doctor or something. So I went to the mall, and I went to, like, a contact lens place, and I was like, can you look in my eye? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he looks, and he's like, don't move! And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, don't move. Don't cry. Don't blink. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he's like, your retina is detaching. You know, this is, like, pretty serious. Yeah. So I'm like, he's like, you have to go to a retina specialist immediately. And they rush me to this emergency retina specialist, and she looks in my eye, and she's like, yeah, you have a hole in your retina in the back of your eye. Your retina's tearing. She's like, I can fix it. I have to put this laser in your eye, and have you ever had LASIK? You know what I've had that, and it's like, it's actually not a big deal. Yeah. It's like, you're like, that was nothing. Yeah. It's like, you know, you don't feel anything, but this sucked. And they basically shoot this laser through your eye, the front of your eye, and, like, has to, like, land at this specific spot in the back, and they seal around this hole. And they're holding my head in this machine, and I'm screaming, and they have my eye open, and all these people are, and they're like, don't move, don't, and I'm like, ah, and they're fucking, it was like, but it only took, like, a minute. And then she was like, go home and go to a retina specialist and see, you know, just follow up. And I did that, and this guy was like, you have another one in your other eye. And I was like, well, what the fuck is going on? You know, and he's like, I don't know, like, only old people get this. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, I play drums. Nah, that's not it, you know. And I had to go follow up with this guy for the next few weeks and stuff. And then we built a rapport, and one day I showed him a video of me playing drums. And he was like, oh. And I really shook my head around a lot and, like, moved all crazy. I have, like, tons of spinal issues from it and stuff. And he was like, well, this is why you have these holes in the retinas. He's like, you cannot move around like that anymore. And I was like, well, that sucks. I was like, I don't know how to not move like that when I play drums. It's just what I do. It's like, you know, when I play, I really go, like, to another place, and just, like, it becomes really, like, kind of like meditative, you know. And I can't not move the way I move. So I started thinking, like, how am I gonna, like, not shake my head like that? And I started thinking, what am I gonna wear a hat? What am I gonna wear a wig? Like, it's not, like, how am I gonna be a cool drummer wearing a wig, you know what I mean? And then I was like, I could be a gay drummer wearing a wig. No, I'm not gay, actually. Like, no, like, fully support the communities and everything, but, like, you know, this is a whole other kind of expression for me. but I was like, wow, like maybe I can. I actually saw a D'Antwoord music video where Yolandi did a certain makeup, and I was like, and that's when it clicked for me. And I was like, oh, I can just be like a weird girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, you know, and it's funny because I started doing this other thing with my characters where I started doing things to make myself feel uncomfortable on stage. Like before I was even doing girl characters, I remember I used to like wear girls' underwear underneath my costume and like give myself a wedgie. And you know how like you ever put your underwear on backwards and you're like all day you're like what the, and then you get home and you're like, oh, my underwear was on backwards. Well, imagine if like it's you can't even fit in it, you know what I mean? So I don't know why I had this thought idea, and I was like, I'm gonna like do that and go on stage. And it was like the whole time I was like moving, I was like squirming, and I was like, there's something to this. It like when you push yourself physically to like feel a way that you're not comfortable feeling, like it's really weird too, because and especially like the big drum set like I'm playing now, you really have to be comfortable with it in a certain way to be able to express yourself the way that I need to on it. But at the same time, like I like to push myself out of the element of feeling physically comfortable so that I become this, it's a whole other level of just putting on a mask or a bunch of makeup and sitting there with something. It's like you're pushing yourself to be in pain, you know? And I just kind of got addicted to it in a way. And so every tour, every character that I started doing, I often do the same character for like a tour cycle, or like, which could be an album for a couple of years, or change it a little bit, or like, you know, when we do a new album and change up our look, I'm going to do a whole new character or an evolution of this character, and I'll be likely looking for a new way to manipulate my mouth. That's even worse than this way. Which I'm actually really nervous about, because this way really sucks. It's the worst thing I've ever done. And the mouth thing started because I told you about all that like thrifting I would do, and I was in Vegas, and I was like, it was the first show of a tour of my old band, and I knew I was going to do a new costume, but I didn't know what I was going to do yet, and I just had, you know that game where you put the thing in your mouth and you have to guess words, and your mouth is like open, and it's like, and it's like you just laugh at each other and drool. My kid got that for my son Darian. He got that for Christmas or his birthday one year, and I was like, put it in my mouth, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I took a picture of myself, and I was like, this is really weird, and I kept one of those, and I was sitting there with all these bags of bullshit before a show. And I had this look that I called, the character I called Nancy, neutered Nancy. And it was like right before I went on stage, and I had that thing, and I just put this dress on, I put that thing in my mouth and did all this weird makeup, and my band didn't even see me before I went, and I went on stage, and they were like, and I was like, and I just started playing, and it was like 2 songs in, and I went to go drink some water, and I remember picking the water up. I still remember it like it was yesterday, and just thinking like, oh no, how am I going to do this? And I just like threw it in my mouth, and it just fell. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's terrible. This is great, you know? And it was so weird to me to experience pushing myself. Like I can hardly drink water on stage, you know? And it just falls out of my mouth. People are like, doesn't your mouth get dry? I'm like it actually, like, it goes through menopause. Like, it gets dry and wet, and it's like everything. And then by the time I walk off stage and take this thing that I have put on my face now off, my cheeks you'll be there. I'll take it off in front of you tonight. My cheeks are just all cut up on the inside of my mouth, first of all. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I have this, like, cut right here. Like, it fucking hurts so bad. It's like, I don't know if you ever get these little tiny cut. I get them a lot from drumming. You get a little tiny cut on your fingers, and it looks like nothing, but it feels like the word. And that's on my nose, like, and inside, it's just like scabs and everything. It is miserable. My teeth are fucked up from it. Like, it's just bad. It's bad.
Your Uncomfort translates because, obviously, doing what I do for a living, I'm experiencing a lot of theatrical musicians and movies and everything, and yours gets me. It's something to look at for sure. It makes me uncomfortable.
Good.
Good.
Good. My discomfort translates.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it works on all fields too, because obviously you feel a different way.
Yeah.
You look great. It does something to the audience.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah. I experienced this other thing a lot. When I was doing my older band, it was like the girl was a little more like girly, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm more like a monster in this band than anything, but a lot of times, especially when I'm like opening for other bands, I would get a kick out of going to the merch booth after our set and like cleaning up and going to the merch booth, and I would just like sit there and like listen.
Yeah.
And people would every night argue like, "Did you see the girl playing drums?" And people would be like, "That's not a girl." And they're like, "No, it was a fucking girl." And I would just not say a word. I would just like watch it, you know.
Yeah.
And this one time, I was walking off my bus with this girl, a friend of mine, in El Paso, I think. And this guy was walking out, and he was just like, he goes to the girl I was with, and he was like, "You were the girl on stage, and the drummer." And she's like, and I'm like, she was about to be like, "No, it was me," you know, and I just like cut it off at the pass, and I was like, "What, you think she was good?" And he was like, "She was awesome," and I was like, "I'm a drummer. She's not that great." And this guy wanted to fight me, and she played into it, and he had no idea that it was me. I love it.
That's a total fucking fedora hat guy moment, and he doesn't even know what's happening. How do you separate what you do theatrically for this project versus any other project?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I definitely do different characters for each project, and some projects call for no character, and I'm okay with that too. I enjoy it more when there is, and I can just be more wild. I'm like I said, I was just always drawn to like these weird theatrics and stuff when I was younger. But I have no qualms about playing in a band and not doing anything.
Yeah.
I just prefer this. But yeah, it really comes down to, you know, first of all, I'm not the guy that's like, "Hey, this is what I do, so like you're hiring me and I'm not gonna join like the Backstreet Boys," which I do love, by the way. I have an affinity for pop music. Taylor Swift, perfect example. I'm obsessed.
You should have heard our playlist on the way down here today.
Seriously. You would have loved it.
My most listened to playlist is every one of her records in chronological order. Every once in a while, I start on the first song and end at the last within a couple of days. I'm like, I made it through the playlist. Wow.
Ultimate Swiftie.
Yes, I am. Until teases me for it. But obviously, I'm not going to be like, "All right, Tay-Tay, I'm going to show up looking like one of the members of Dwar." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it does lend itself to that, then I'm into it. And it really just comes down to, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I mean, if I were to explain how I came up with the character for Aesthetic Perfection, I guess I went more on a theme of like kind of plastic surgery gone wrong with that. I think the first time that I played with them, I did like, it was a surprise at my old band, and I took a day off. Basically, my old band, I knew I was quitting for a long time, and before I told them I was quitting, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna like not be at the show in Poland. I'm gonna fly over here and do this show with this other band who we were all friends with." You know, it didn't go over well, but I was like, "But I'm doing that." And I went and I was sick, and then I showed up like on stage with this other band at this big festival. And everyone knew it was me, but I like made it look like I flew, and I said I flew to get plastic surgery, but I made it look like I had this like all this crazy plastic surgery done with bandages and blood and stuff, and like a woman's outfit. Yeah. So it was like I kind of like in the, you know, I played into it, and I don't know, it's all fun to me. I like playing around with shit like that and fucking with people.
Yeah,
it just becomes more real.
So you've mentioned Wes being an inspiration theatrically, but he's a musician. You also mentioned Maynard. Is there anything that you take inspiration from outside of musicians themselves? Any sort of, I guess, horror characters, video games? I take things from everything. So
I
feel like music inspirations gets kind of like worn out a little.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta be honest with you. Funny enough, like I'm not into horror movies at all.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just like I like some of them.
Yeah.
But I get a kick out of them if I'm watching them with the right people. Like But I'm more of a rom-com guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Full of surprises.
Yeah.
Is that what you're inspired by?
Yeah.
Could be.
No, I probably the drag community, I guess, more than anything. And like plastic surgery's gone wrong.
It's a lot of medical.
Weird medical shit. Yeah.
Body like
body dysmorphia is like when you like
see yourself
different. Weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I guess I used to have body dysmorphia, but now when I put my makeup on so much now, I think I've tricked my brain so much, and I think I'm so gross that like whenever I get normal again, I think I'm beautiful.
Yeah. Dude, okay, well wait a second, because you look great as a monster, but when you said your age earlier, you look really good for your age. I would guess.
What are you doing, lady?
35.
35.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks.
I mean,
no, I get this all the time. Thankfully, there's going to be a day where I don't get it, so I'll take it while I can get it. But I've been doing the same thing I set out to do ever since I was 14 years old. I know a lot of people that are not happy with their jobs and my age that look older than I do, and I just think maybe they're, sadly not aligning with their true purpose or their passion. And I think that when you're happy and doing the thing that you are meant to do and love to do, you just age less.
Yeah.
And I feel shitty saying it out loud, but I think that there's no science to that. It's like, it's just what it is.
You feel good, you look good.
Yeah.
And you must feel good, because every conversation I've had with you has been fun. Even when you're shitting.
Yeah. Which I was doing earlier. Yeah. That's why we're not doing the...
We should have done this on the toilet.
Yeah. Oh, we could do next time.
Fuck yeah.
That'll be the second date. I have this like fake vagina that it's this silicone vagina. I'll show it to you later. And I was like, I want to like, how can I like be a girl to the next level even, And I was like, well, like, I'm gonna get a fake vagina, So I found this silicone fake vaginas. I own like 30 of them now. They're all look the same on the surface. Like I just got one before the store with pubic hair, but I'm not wearing it because I don't like. I even trimmed the pubic hair a little bit. But anyway, so the first time I got it, it has like a pocket on the inside, and I'm like for your dick, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's a place to put my dick, and I'm like, so I'm putting it on, and I'm like, it's like silicone, right? So I'm like trying to. Oh, excuse me. I don't want this to be some. Is it okay if I talk about this? You're okay. Sorry, I don't want to.
Go ahead.
Okay. She has one, real one.
What do you mean?
No,
a real vagina.
No.
I was like, real dick. I was like, I know.
I knew that's why you were gonna take it. I was
like. So I got this like silicone, and I'm like, I'm not like, I don't have like a boner. Like I think if you have the boner, it's like. You put the boner in the hole, not the other guy, So I'm like trying to shove the other guy in this hole, and it's like, so I'm putting like lotion, and I'm like, then it's in, and then it's like I have it on, and it's like popping out, and I'm like, man, this is so uncomfortable. And then I like Google like how I'm supposed to use this thing, and then I was like, oh, so the hole is actually so people can fuck it. Like, it's not for me to put my penis into, it's for you to put your penis into while I'm wearing it. Which
I will.
We could try that later. But, yeah, so I have this vagina and it has this pocket in there. So, we do this part of the show where we throw pies at people. And this is the only time as a drummer I get to stand up during the show and move around. So I was like, maybe I can do something with my vagina, So I started... Oh man, I have girls in the band, so I'm running in the dressing room and I'm like, can I borrow a few tampons? And they're like, huh? And I'm like, give me tampons. So I put makeup on them and I shove them in there. And it's been like, funny to see how many I can like get in there and successfully pull out one at a time and throw them in the crowd, like right in front of the crowd. And it was about a week worth of me doing that to the girls before my girlfriend was there, and she's like, you really should buy your own tampons because tampons are expensive. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, so I went and bought my own tampons. And then the other day I did it like someone was saying how impressed they were. I got 6 in there and out during and I was like, yeah, I really can't fit anymore. And then someone was like, well, what about your butt? And I was like, well, now that would be uncomfortable too.
Now you're talking.
And it's funny because I have one of those seats that they're made by this company called Porter and Davies. Do you know about these seats? They're like $2,000 drum seats that have this woofer inside of them. So your monitor guy runs whatever you want to it. So I have like all my drums, especially my kick drum and my bass player in it, right? So we make a joke all the time. Like I always have people sit down on my drums and hit the bass drum. It's like, whoa! Yeah. Like it's awesome, right? I don't need monitors anymore. So I always make a joke like, yeah, I wear a butt plug during the show too,
Yeah.
So the other day I was like, maybe I should put a tampon in my ass, and I did.
And it's not a joke anymore.
And
yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And I threw it in the crowd.
That's fucking awesome. I'm really sad that we don't get to see this today.
Everyone was very upset about that one. They didn't try to catch it.
I'm sad that you're not doing that because I want one now.
You want the ass tampon?
I just want a tampon. It can be the ass one if I'm that special.
We'll get some B-roll later of you pulling one out with your teeth. We can set up like a fake strip club.
Awesome.
Like,
I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. That makes me want to ask
you
about
like
people
right in the middle, though.
in your fucking personal life. How do they feel about what you do? They get it without getting it?
You know who actually loves it, which is funny, is my dentist.
Really?
Yeah, my dentist is like one of my biggest fans.
You have nice teeth.
Thank you. He fixed them for me. I used to have really fucked up teeth, and when I got sober, one of the things I did to myself was like, I'm gonna fix my teeth. I had actually deferred. Nah, it wasn't one of the first things. One of the first things I did was like, I had all this extra money. You don't go to the bar and waste all your money all the time, and like all of a sudden you got like $8,000 in your bank account. And I'm like,
yeah.
Of course, the first thing I did was like, I guess I should buy expensive sunglasses now because I'm not going to lose them all the time while I'm wasted.
Yeah.
So I started buying Versace and Dolce & Gabbana sunglasses. And then after I spent about $5,000 on those, I was like, why did I do that? I think it was like I spent around $6,000 on sunglasses over the course of a year. And then I saw a commercial for Invisalign. And I was like, I just spent that much money on sunglasses. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, fuck sunglasses, I'm going to fix my teeth.
Yeah.
So, thank you. I have this one tooth missing back here. When you go and get Invisalign, it's like not an easy, it's not always just like, yeah, here's the thing, boom. It's like, my dentist was like, we have to do all this other stuff first. I had to remove all my old cavities that were like this metal and put regular ones in. I had to remove this tooth, that tooth, take my wisdom teeth out. And I had this big infection in my face from a root canal gone wrong years ago here, which was like a fucking several year long nightmare.
Yeah.
And now I have this space there. And I used to be really self-conscious about my teeth, and I never really smiled with my mouth open because, and I still catch myself doing it like today because it's like ingrained in me.
Yeah. But
I get compliments on my teeth a lot now, and it means a lot because I was always so self-conscious about it. But now I have this thing back here, and when I put the mask on, it's like it's so gnarly. And at first I was like, man, I gotta fix that. Like that's fucked up. But like I think it just adds to the weirdness of the mask now, so I'm not gonna fix it.
Yeah, I hate mine.
I have one too. Yeah,
matching,
shot.
Twinsies.
Yeah.
So now we just get ready for the show.
Yeah, we'll high five and we go. I'll see you in a couple hours.
That's an edit clip right there.
this, right?
Oh, I'm gonna edit the shit out of this.
I have severe ADHD. And I don't have my Adderall.
Because I want to make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing that you want to stick in.
Okay.
So is it?
Oh, bend over. No, that was too easy.
Damn it, man! I'm too good for that.
Is it still recording, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Got that, right? Keep that. You said this is Van Gogh? Is it real?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Don't touch it. Sorry. Like, it's just gross.
Yeah.
It is just gross. It's like I am just constantly snotting and like drooling and everything, and everyone's just like, get away from me. And I'm like, well.
I can't wait to see it up close in person. It's gonna be great.
That right there is where you gotta put, like, when we pause for a second and smile, like, ding, on our teeth.
Yeah.
Like, ding.
Yeah.
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 It'd be fucking perfect. Now I gotta fucking give you a fake thanks. Hey man, thanks for fucking.
So give me a real fuck off.
Really?
Whatever you
I don't even know how. I don't even know how to be mean.